Welcome, friends, and thank you for tuning into the Optimal Health program today. Once again, and we're back and better than ever. We're here, ready to take your questions. If you'd like to give us a call, 1-888-420-9272. Otherwise, you can reach out to us through YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, all the platforms. And Super Frankie, the man of the hour, is here waiting to take your questions.
Oh, yeah. You know it.
Although Frankie's not getting a lot of sleep at night, he does look a little tired.
I've been telling people they're called designer bags, okay? Designer. We got Birkin
Designed by the
bags.
baby. Oh, it's too funny. It's amazing because everybody that I've ever known and met, talks about how it takes a while before the baby, sleeps through the night and is comfortable and such. But yeah, it's a job, man. It's a hard job.
I mean, she's great during the day, and then that sun goes down, and she's like a vampire, just like eyes open. How could I ruin sleep tonight?
Exactly. What can I do to disrupt the entire world? It's too funny. Let's see. So we've got some cool stuff to talk about. Where did I put that latest article? So probably 70% plus patients that I see have stomach issues. And it can come from something as simple as bloating and digestion to full-blown colitis, Crohn's, etc. The gut is the doorway into your body, so it's a really important place for things to occur. So you're breaking down your foods as best you can, getting all the nutrients, micronutrients, proteins, amino acids, all the good things, fats, etc., into your system to feed your body. And also, don't forget about breaking down vitamins from your foods or vitamins that you're taking to enhance your nutrient levels, nutrient density. So for a lot of people, their issues start in the gut. Food allergy is a very common mechanism, and I see this all the time, and I tell people, if one food bothers you, two foods bother you, okay, let's take a look and see what your antibodies tell us. If we find other foods, we take them out. Sometimes people will have a delayed reaction to a food and they won't feel the symptom at the time of eating the food, so they keep eating it and they end up having aches and pains or headaches or a rash or fatigue or any number of weird things, palpitations, because food allergy can create really any symptom. And as we take those foods out, all of a sudden everything starts to dissipate and go away. Some people are allergic to the food. Other people are allergic to the chemicals in the food or the GMO nature of the food. So it's not always just the food. And there are some people who have sensitivity, but not a direct allergy. So they need to keep those foods out. So it sometimes takes a conversation or two before we can get people to understand that foods may be causing many of their problems. And if we look at that individual and we correct and fix the gut, and all of a sudden, and we're recommending nutrients, now the nutrient levels are nice and high, we've just enhanced the absorptive digestive effect. So for so many people, absorption and digestion are a critical part of their symptom complex and a critical part of their function.
Got a question here. Someone's just wondering, why do you think gut problems like Crohn's are more prevalent now, or do you think they're just better at diagnosing?
No, they're way more prevalent now. I mean, if we go back and look at different generations, prior generations didn't have junk food everywhere and chemicals everywhere and colorings and dyes everywhere. So the food was better. People were preparing food at home as opposed to going out to restaurants all the time. And in many cases, restaurants are putting, other things into the food. Manufacturers are putting things into the food. I've mentioned this before that, chicken and steak probably have 70 to 80 different chemicals put into it before it reaches the market, and they color these things to make them look real good. So you buy them in the store, even though they might be older. I mean, the meat glue that they use, the list goes on and on. We've spoken about that, but food was more pure back in the day. I remember my dad coming home from a place that would have milk in the bottles. It was just healthy milk. It wasn't just, stuff that you'd get in a store today that's got more chemicals in it than you'd be willing to, pronounce. And that's why, I go for all of the organic stuff, and I go to Moolah Farms for the chicken, for the turkey, for the meat, the sausage, etc. There's no chemicals. It's just pure, delicious food. The milk, no chemicals. Eggs, all organic, no chemicals. It's what you have to do. So there are more bad things in the diet now than ever before, and that's what's contributing to it. I think because of all this chemical exposure, it's creating more allergy. And as I mentioned, people are reacting to the food itself or the chemicals, the GMO, or otherwise. So it's so much more prevalent. And I've got a 40-year perspective on this, so I've seen a great deal of this over time. So every time I see a new patient, I talk to them about what they're eating and reactions to foods and go through the whole conversation. But it's important. But yeah, way more prevalent now than ever before.
Someone just wants to know, do you think this is the same link of why there's a rise in colon cancer among younger adults?
I think the main reason for that, and I don't think it's food related, because we're still eating the same foods that we ate, although there are more chemicals now. So yeah, potentially chemicals may do that. But there's a lot of evidence that people are developing these turbo cancers from an injection, which I think was done on purpose. Just like the myocarditis, the heart disease, the arrhythmias, the autoimmune disorders, all these things that are happening secondarily to a mass injection program, I think are causing the turbo cancers. Dr. McCullough has said that. A lot of doctors, European doctors, are saying it. But here, it's forbidden to say anything bad about something that's being pushed. So I think that's a major, major part of it.
Unreal. I do see, by the way, they said, but aren't they so precious? I know you're talking about the baby. And yes, she's perfect. She's amazing. It's just, if she wants to sleep for a couple hours at 4 a.m.
You just look at them, you stare at them, you're like, oh my God.
You're so perfect, but oh my gosh, you're loud.
How did this happen? 1 cell, 2 cells, 1 million cells, 1 billion cells? It's like, wow. It never ceases to amaze me.
So we have on YouTube, someone's mentioning that they mentioned to their doctor that they drink unpasteurized milk, and they said that I'm going to get very sick from that and to stop.
So where in society has that happened? Because a lot of people drink the raw milk or the natural milk, the unpasteurized. I mean, there are heating processes that they do that are more natural that, help to kill germs and bacteria. And look at all the people who own farms. They drink the milk just like that, right out of the cow. Where's the evidence? You don't see it. Look at the Amish. Interesting that this somewhat isolated group of people who have their own ideas on what to eat and not to eat and, what injections to take. And they don't take any injections. They don't have, autism spectrum disorders. They don't have childhood diseases. They don't have all the things that so many of the rest of the population is suffering from. So, are we being sold a bill of goods? Probably. Being sold some lies? Probably.
Unreal. I get my milk from the farm, and I love it. Clee Sully.
Yeah, it's like I say, luckily they're right near me, so I go to Moolah Farms a couple times a week, and the milk is delicious. It's not this thin, watery, almost blue-tinged, I don't know what.
Dyed.
That's got who knows what sort of chemicals in it. It's pure, healthy milk. My question has always been, I've mentioned this before on the show, who are the people at the food companies that say, hey, let's add this dye even though we know it's bad. Let's add that chemical even though we know it's bad. They're doing it on purpose. The chemical companies are killing us. And finally, we're taking a stand with RFK Jr. and the administration to get rid of this crap. So you have to do it. Why was it put there in the first place? Because it enhances shelf life of a product, meanwhile making us sick? It's a shame.
We got here, did you see the RFK press conference on alpha-gal syndrome? Very scary. Hopefully they find a cure.
Yeah, so very interesting that there are ticks that are all of a sudden in the population that can affect your body's ability to eat red meat. Really weird, right? I mean, think of this without knowing anything else. Really weird that a tick exposure could make you react horribly to red meat. And there's this guy who wants people to stop eating meat and to get rid of cows because they fart and it ruins the climate or some sort of crap like that, And then he wants people to eat fake meat, and he makes fake meat. People, just open your eyes. This is what's going on.
I remember this was probably like at this point 5-6 years ago. There was an NYU, I don't know if it was an NYU professor or NYU hired a doctor to talk to their students, and he was saying, we have this huge crisis of we have too many cows. It's ruining the atmosphere. La la la. And he literally said, he's like, there's this tick that gives you this total reaction to meat, and maybe we can use that to really stop the population
from eating the meat from the cows. Like, it's not your right to tell me what I should or shouldn't eat. And if I want to eat something that's good and healthy for me, I'll do that. But there always has been this vilification of certain foods. Oh, eggs are horrible, high cholesterol. And research over many, many decades has said that's just a load of crap. And that was not a real thing. And all the patients that I know that eat eggs, and I eat eggs, and all the people that I know that eat good, healthy foods and the meats and such are fine. So you're being told these things for a reason. So if the reason is they want to get rid of cows because of the methane, it's just stupid to think that, and I can't even imagine how, if you had a herd of cows, all that methane is traveling, in a column to go cause damage. It's garbage. It's garbage, just like the climate change stuff. It's nonsense. And I love looking at some of these posts like Plymouth Rock or some of these places, famous places all over the world. Oh, sea level's going to rise. It's going to wipe everything. And for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of years, that hasn't happened. It's just, I think, what's his name, the big fat guy with the energy inefficient house, Al Gore.
Oh.
Al Bohr and his wacky family.
What a run he had, huh?
Yeah, he made a lot of money trying to ramp up all this crap and make people afraid of everything. And, when it came out that he had the most energy inefficient house and didn't do anything to fix his footprint, and he's flying all over with jets, these people are just, they're pathological. They'll say anything they can to get, what they want for themselves.
Mary in the chat, good thing that I never go outside. I'm cooking some real meat right now for my puppy.
Well, you could go outside. I mean, although I will tell you, specific to that point, when I went to that Lyme conference a while back, I guess it was last year, and I was learning about all the different, and I knew about many of them, but not all of them, all the different strains of Lyme, the Borrelia that are out there, and the cofactors are far more now than ever before, Babesia, Ehrlichia, Bartonella-like organisms, where I learned about these biofilm and, the spread of these creatures, and that 40%, 50% of the time when one of the Lyme bugs is there, it comes with the cofactor. I walked outside, and I love knowledge and trivia and information, and I kind of thrive on it. I was walking past a park after I left the conference, and I'm on the sidewalk, and I looked over, and there are these bushes. I'm like, I'm not going to walk near those bushes. What if there are ticks in those bushes?
Yeah.
So I just kind of scooted in the middle of the street. And people thought I was an idiot because I was walking in the middle of the street. I don't care. I look like an idiot. You have to think about that.
Yeah.
There's a guy that I use to spray around my house and property that uses chrysanthemum oil, which is from a plant. It's natural, completely healthy, natural, and it just makes all the mosquitoes and the ticks go away. And we don't see any. Those lantern bugs, those crazy triangular red, white colored crazy bugs, stink bugs, all gone from the chrysanthemum spray.
Wow. Stink
So I
bugs are
tell
wild.
everybody to, use that because it's safe for dogs and pets and people. I think it's a great idea.
I don't know if you saw this, but I did watch that press conference at to the end with RFK, and he said that roughly 50% of the population in Martha's Vineyard has alpha-gal now.
Really?
Which is just I think they have tribes. Are there Native American tribes in Martha's Vineyard? Because he said that the tribe...
Kennedys.
That was good.
I mean, I don't know. No, it's Kennebunkport. That's Maine. So it's a little different, but I don't know. Look, there are people out there who are dangerous, miserable people who are trying to do this stuff. You've heard Bill Gates talk about depopulation. They want to limit population by 10 or 15%, because they give some stupid reason. Oh, we need to cut back on the population. And then AOC starts talking about that. Oh, we have to limit the population so people can have better food and our people can survive and be healthy. It's crap. There's gazillions of miles for people to live all over the world. Has anybody ever been to the Midwest? You could double the population of the Midwest and they'd still have way enough more room to live and thrive. And, but it's just these people who are globalists that want to tell you what to do, yet they'll fly all over the place in their expensive
G4s.
G4, G6s, jets and stuff. Don't believe the word they say. The average individual that I talk to, and I talk to people of all backgrounds, all walks of life, the average people say, look, I don't believe that crap. They're smart enough to understand that there are people who are the elites that are trying to run and ruin everything, but make it so wonderful for themselves. But that their time is going to be up soon.
Chat's just going off on that man that rhymes with Will Lates.
You couldn't get worse, except for that short little Napoleonic doof.
Someone's mentioning I have to plant some
Chrysanthemums, yeah.
Do you actually planting them itself, or it has to be
you
like
plant them. No, but the guy sprays the oil because it's concentrated. It works beautifully. It comes once a month, and there's no bugs whatsoever. It's great. I remember when I first bought the house, I had to put citronella candles out, and it's not enjoyable to breathe. Or those little coils that one of the company makes that makes it. No, this guy comes around, sprays. I've been using him for years. He's great. His name is Zach, and Aronica, I think, is his company, Aronica. But I've told everybody about it. Well, my patients, my friends.
Is it organically green?
Excuse me?
Is it organically green?
Yeah.
That
plant extract.
Yeah, that might be my third cousin, Aronica.
Really?
Funny enough. I'm putting it together. He owns a spraying company. Or
Small world. Why is my phone piping up? Stop.
Because they're always listening, Doc.
Stop piping up, phone. Relax. So clean your home environment, etc. Take care of your animals, You got to look at your animals, brush them, check their coat. But honestly, ever since we've done this, I've done it and brushed them because they love to be brushed. Just like, my Zeus is a big German, and he's sort of like the chill male, and he sits around, and he loves being brushed and scratched. Every dog does. And Delilah, she's even more needy, like a girlfriend or something, that, oh, can you scratch my back, or can you brush my hair, or what, But yeah, you got to brush them, and I haven't seen anything on them.
Wow. That's insane. I'm actually my wife was like, I hope that we can bring the baby to Montauk soon. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we wait for the snow to come down.
I'd be, just be careful. Just dress the baby in white, pure white.
Right.
And then around their feet, make sure you have, and it may sound a little weird, but have, like tape that you put inside out. So if a tick gets on them,
they can't get on.
It gets stuck in the tape and it can't crawl and go anywhere.
Right.
So a lot of people do that. I know the people that are landscapers that I know do that. So they'll take the tape, put it on, twist it, bring it around again, and then twist it so that the sticky part's on the outside. So creatures that can try to crawl up your leg can't do it. Wear light white clothing so you could really see anything. I remember riding an e-bike when I first got it. It was out on a pathway through the woods instead of riding on the beach where all the big boulders and rocks were to get to this oyster pond to go fishing and stuff. And luckily, I think it was in November or December. And I'm zipping along on this bike. It's got 2 batteries, 2 engines, 2 motors. It's wicked fast. And of course, hidden a little bit under the sand was this big rock, which I didn't see. So it pushed the tire. I go flying over the handlebars into a bush. I'm like, oh my God, no. And luckily I got up, I shook off, and my friend Mike stopped laughing for like 45 minutes. I had to make sure he looked all over me, and there were no ticks and stuff. So I was pretty
They
happy.
can get. I didn't realize how small they can get. It's like
Oh, yeah.
it's like the pin of a needle.
Yeah, tiny.
I picked off some. I'm like, oh no.
Yep.
Like this could be on me for days. I wouldn't know it.
Yep.
Ay. Wow. Okay. So listen. We need to get a sponsorship for chrysanthemum.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
A lot of people are going to be going.
I mean, there are a lot of plants like marigolds. Every person that I know is a serious gardener will put marigolds in and around their plants, their vegetable garden, because it wards off animals. And chrysanthemums and marigolds.
Huh.
Yeah. I think I learned that years ago from a landscaper I had when I first came to the house. He was Italian, so he kept saying marigolds with an accent. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? Marigold.
Marigold. I saw my wife the other day. She's like, out. We have like a little planter out on that balcony, and she was putting. It was like pepper in her hand. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm scaring off the squirrels. They're gonna have one bite of it. I'm like, what did you get that? She's like, ChatGPT told me to do it. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
Seem to have I don't know.
From experience. I tried everything to get rid of squirrels when I first moved to my house. I put these cool little pots and put, the little cherry tomatoes in the pots, yellow and red, so I could sit back and have a tomato. And I would get up in the morning and, if I walked towards the sliding door and look out on the deck, the squirrels were eating the tomatoes. I was furious. So I tried pepper. I tried everything you could imagine. I tried antifreeze.
Wait, antifreeze?
Anything to have some sort of smell to ward them off. I went to Home Depot and asked the garden guy there. And the guy said, oh, yeah, just, have your girlfriend pee in a cup. I'm like, I'm not going to have my girlfriend pee in a cup and put it around my tomato plants. That's not going to happen. Hot pepper, capsaicin, everything I tried didn't work. So then on a separate mechanism, I decided to get a dog, and I got a big dog, Maximus. And he was about 140-pound German Shepherd. Beautiful, just like Zeus, beautiful coat. And then I would brush him, and rather than take the brushings and put him in a bag, whatever, I just would throw him over the deck. Then I noticed after a while, I'm like, no squirrels. I haven't seen any squirrels. And I had raccoons and stuff there at some point. Then I read about it, and if you put the dog hair in the area where these animals expect to come, they will not go there because they smell whatever that smell is of the dog, and they freak out, and they don't come by. I've had no squirrels on my property since. So, of course, now, Delilah, I could make sweaters. One pass, I could make sweaters from her hair. Take that and just dump it over. I'll put it around certain areas between plants and have had no problem.
That's that's the best hack ever.
Yeah, but it works, and it works really well because they smell that and they freak out. They won't come near.
They're going to get eaten.
Yep.
They're
like, werewolf.
Yeah, literally, I was just going to say. They're big enough to be werewolves, but they're so sweet. So sweet.
She's a really good girl. But they're both kooky. Zeus will always come by. When Delilah's near me, he'll come by to push her away so he can get scratched. Then Delilah will just sneak up behind me, put her head between my legs and look up because she wants me to scratch her ears and kiss her on the forehead. I mean, she won't leave me alone until I do that. Then if I grab a towel, I'm going to go sit downstairs in a chair to lay in the sun. When she sees me, she'll look at me and she'll bolt down the stairs and go jump on the chair. So now I have to try to negotiate to get her off the chair. So now I'm a grown man, right? I have to take a dog treat, hide it under my towel, my beach towel, and then as I walk down the stairs before she bolts, I drop the dog treat. She goes to the dog treat. I run down the stairs, and I get to the chair before her. So she'll still come over and want to sit either on me or with me on the chair, and she's big. So I end up sitting, with my back up against the back part of the chair, and she's in front of me. I've got to have my feet on either side. And when I have a fan there, because it's hot out, and I already have lotion on, the fan blows the dog hair into my lotion, so now I got to pick off all the dog hairs.
You're tarred and feathered.
Exactly. So it is what it is. Could be worse.
Okay, I will start combing my 2-pound, 9 ounces Yorkie's hair and throw the hair over the deck.
Any dog hair you can get, or I'll save you bags of dog hair if you want. It works.
We may be able to start a business.
Yeah. Dog hair to ward off squirrels and other animals. Did I talk about Phytic acid. No, not yet. This is the article I pulled off today. Phytic acid, a plant food extract found in beans, lentils, nuts, seeds, etc., helps to maintain the integrity of the intestinal barrier, which is pretty cool.
What is that called?
Phytic, Phytic, phytic acid. This study suggests that phytic acid reactivates a protein that helps regulate genes and protect the gut and prevents leaky gut, which is an inflammatory mechanism. So pretty cool that there are things that are natural, once again, that you could take that would be advantageous for your gut. Besides getting rid of junk food, getting rid of carbs, all the chemicals from foods. Also, for a lot of people, I tell them to take a tablespoon of olive oil every morning or evening. Some people do it morning and evening. Kills germs in your gut. It's a great oil for you. So the idea is that the more of the natural things you put on board, the better your body will do.
Just need to dispel rumor in the chat. They said, Dr. Chris, you don't have AC? This is outside, guys. This is by the pool.
Yeah.
Fan. He has AC.
Outside, little fan, a small little table. Pushes the cool air on me when I'm sitting in the blistering hot sun. Yes, I do have AC in the house. Haven't figured out how to control it, to take a vent and put it outside.
So, first off, what exactly is phytic acid and what foods contain it?
Yeah, so just mentioned that beans, lentils, nuts, seeds. So those are the most common sources of that. And it activates a protein that helps regulate and protect the lining of the gut. It's a natural compound present in plant-based foods. It's interesting. You look at populations going way back. Of course, they didn't know what we know now, but a lot of populations all over the world had these foods as primary foods, and they had them in their diet every day, which I'm sure helped them a great deal. So lentils are great. I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't really like lentil soup, but I love lentil soup.
Tomato soup.
I've always loved
French
nuts
onion.
and
Those
seeds,
are the kids' soups.
sesame seeds, all that stuff. But yeah, I would just make sure you have some of those things in your diet. Enhances your gut. Use the olive oil too. Makes sense.
You've gotten a lot of people in the chat on the olive oil train, by the way.
It's great. I mean, I love it. And I will go out and get different types of olive oil. I used to go to the city to a place called Fig and Olive. It's two restaurants, one in Meatpacking, one near Bloomingdale's.
I've been to Fig and Olive.
Yeah, it's a great restaurant, and they've got at least a dozen, maybe 20 different oils up on the shelves, and they come from Italy, France, Africa, Greece. Spain has really good olive oil called Hoji Blanca. And they're all beautiful, extra filtered, healthy organic olive oil. So they taste a little bit different, and I would try each one. But now the ones I use primarily, and one of my friends and one of my patients was in Bari, and they have gigantic olive oil fields in Bari. So they brought me, perfectly homemade olive oil, and it's good. You would never eat the store-bought olive oil again, ever, because it's so delicious. But it's just pure crushed olives made into the olive oil. The things you get in the store, even a good market, not good.
I've heard that.
The two that you see now, they're coming from Sicily. One is called Partana, Partanna. That's a really good olive oil, pure. And some of the better restaurants use that. And I'm sure you can get it online, maybe Amazon, I don't know. And then Bono, Bono, like Sonny, without share.
There's one other one, and you'll know why I remember the name, Frankie's. And it's two restaurateurs from New York who have family in Italy, and it's pure 100%, but it's pricey. It's only I could only find it in Whole Foods, but it's like you're paying for it.
So you tell people I'd rather pay for something that's good and really good quality than keep using stuff that's bad. Another restaurant that I've gone to a billion times because it's near my house, La Pizzetta, John is now making his own olive oil because where he's from, in Italy, same thing. They have these olive groves, and they make their own pure olive oil. It's great. Why not?
Oh, yeah. This is a good question, Doc. Do you have any books out? And you should.
I don't. It's a little bit of a job to write a book, and I have so much going on. I'm trying to perfect a couple of projects. I did write a book with a young lady who is a medical author, and we wrote it together, and it was about stem cell therapy. You know, stem cell therapy, a new universe, or something like that. But I probably will do something like that again. Now that ChatGPT is there to help with things, I'm going to have a great newsletter, which we're going to tell people to try to give us their email so we can do that, send it out. With the mechanism that we're using through Claude, I can tell Claude to give me 10 great articles on this every week or that, on the latest news in heart disease and nutrition, or cancer and nutrition, or vitamin deficiency and disease, or benefits of vitamins. I can just have them do that rather than me plink, 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 plink like I do every week. And then I could take that, if I like it, I can put that into a mechanism to make a newsletter. We're going to send that out to everybody. So that's part of the process. It's going to be under the Longevity Health Services banner, which is the sort of big umbrella company that I created. And under there will be the podcast, will be Hemologica, being able to send your blood work in, have AI review it, and then either get vitamins, telehealth visit, peptides, hormones set up. So that's very close to being finished. So we're doing, a lot of that. But it's amazing how easy it is to get things at your fingertips from AI.
And on that note, question here. Doctor, is your foundation up and running? My wife is receiving stem cell therapy next week, and we wanted it to go to the foundation. So
the foundation is there. The bank account's there. We have brochures. We have the new website coming up relatively soon, et cetera, et cetera. So we're in the process of making that happen. Where is she doing? She's doing STEM with us?
I believe so, but they could answer. Give them some time. It's George in the chat. I don't want to say last names, but George on YouTube. I still got YouTube, don't worry. I know I get a little carried away with our rumblers, but I see you. Oh, do you want to just explain to the others who don't know about the foundation and what it's about?
So I started a foundation a long time ago, 2019, I think, right before COVID. And before that, I had met a couple of brothers in Florida who created Operation Healing Forces, which was an organization that would raise money. And they owned an insurance company. They'd raise money and would send veterans to someone's vacation home for a week and do all sorts of really nice things for them. And when I met them, I said, look, I'll donate some stem cell therapy and see how well they do. And they did great. So my initial approach was, well, you market for STEM. And then whatever you need for administrative fees, take that and we'll do this. And the rest of the money would cover that. It didn't end up happening. COVID hit. I also hired a consulting firm to go to all these big corporations, Johnson & Johnson and everywhere, to try to get donations. And, COVID hit and nobody was doing anything. So I just put it aside. Now that there's a lot more going on, the economy's better, et cetera, we have the podcast, et cetera, we're trying to raise funds to treat wounded veterans that have traumatic brain injury, because that's one of the most devastating, issues or problems they have. And the number of people with traumatic brain injury, the veterans, is staggering. I'll give you some statistics. We just made up a really cool brochure.
And just confirming, yes, that person is getting stem cell with you on Thursday.
Okay. So let's see. $485,000 cases of traumatic brain injury from 2006 to 26. Jeez. So the numbers are staggering.
Wait, and what's the range?
People, guys and girls.
What's that range? The year range?
What's that?
Between what?
2000 and 26. So 2000, and 2026.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And honestly, and wouldn't be the first to tell you about it, these individuals have not been cared for properly. So, long story short, It's specifically for traumatic brain injury, and raising the funds allow us to grab guys and girls that have had these problems and treat them. So the other thing that evolved over time, one of the first guys that I treated from that group in Florida was blown up in a vehicle, couldn't function, horrible headaches, couldn't do anything, couldn't work. And he went from one place to the next, these VA centers, they gave him meds and this and that. Just like our friend in Canada who went through every possible thing. He even had the deep brain procedure done and, was horrible. And we did his stem, and he just turned around completely. And he's a lawyer now, and he's been sending me a whole bunch of other people that have been blown up in the vehicle. So we've got a constant feed from them, and he works with the government and the organizations that are funding that. I think Tip of the Spear, Wounded Warrior. There's a couple of different organizations that he's working with that, we get the patients from, and they pay for it. Another gentleman who we've had on the show as an interview, Dominic, lovely guy. He's a retired judge, and he's down in Washington now, going a couple of days a week, and he's working to try to get coverage. And, we're trying to meet people that would allow us to bring this forward to people that make decisions, like in the administration. And then Tuesday night, I'm going to a fundraiser for Bruce Blakeman, who's a sweetheart of a guy. I've known him for many years because I met a lot of these politicians years and years ago. My friend Mike Balboni, who was a state senator, worked for Homeland Security, wonderful guy. I met him and all these people back then, and I've stayed in touch with a lot of them. So I think hopefully through Bruce, I can get to meet other people that are decision makers, and we could raise some real funds for this. So we're working on it, and I think if I talk about it on the podcast and we reach different people, and now we're going to go back to big organizations, maybe we can get something, done. So it's one of those things that takes a long time.
Mike Balboni, great guy. We got a lot of
Mike's
mutuals.
I know, that's weird.
I know.
A lot of mutual people, even going back 47 years. I have to call our buddy and see how he's doing. Small world, really small world.
Insanely. And getting smaller.
Yeah, last time Paul and your dad and I went out to dinner, we had the best time. It was like three joking around Italian kids, just talking about everything that we experienced in our lives. It's all the same stuff, same upbringing.
We're also all Italian, so that might be it too.
Yep. Same sort of mannerism, same upbringing.
People are pumped for the foundation.
Yeah, so soon we'll have a QR code that you can hit on here to see that, see the brochure, the website, all the information, the videos of the veterans who talk about their benefits and such. And it's a 501c3 foundation, so all the donations are tax deductible. So I think it'll work. Just got to keep trying.
It's a win-win-win. Someone just said, finally someone's taking care of these guys.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be the first person to describe that historically, before this administration, and going back many, many years, these guys were treated so poorly. Some of them were left in waiting rooms in the VA hospitals, and those places were horrible and filthy and falling apart. It's the other side of the street. People that don't care about Americans, don't care about veterans, where they were running things, and they just let everything fall apart. Thank God we've got people in control now that are doing the right thing. That's why I want to be able to speak to them.
Up to date on questions, I believe.
Okay, what else do we have that's interesting? Another great article about plant-based foods protecting against Alzheimer's, even when started later in life. Because there are so many great things in healthy, natural foods, just like we talk about the phytic acid, vitamins, minerals, a lot of great things in your food that help to keep your body and your brain doing well. Of course, we have to talk about heavy metals and getting them out of your system, because heavy metals will damage your brain and every organ, every part of your body. And aluminum is directly linked with Alzheimer's, so That's an ultimately common, mechanism. So that's why I say the comprehensive medical nutritional approach is unique. We look at everything through your blood work and your urine and put together recommendations based upon that. Eat right, exercise. We make vitamin recommendations, the vitamin pack specific to your blood test result. It's not throwing the same vitamins at everybody. So that's how you get your great results and your best outcome.
Oh, wait, I did miss one question. Is there a difference between how traditional cultures prepared grains and legumes versus how we eat them now?
That's a good question. I don't see that much of a difference because historically, when you look back, and I watch all these really cool History Channel things and, society going back, there's not much of a difference. I mean, how much can you do to change, some of the vegetables? Either grill them, roast them, bake them. It's not much different. Grains, I'm not a big fan of because they're more and more a cause of gut issues because of the GMO in the grains. But for the most part, the vegetables have been the same for a very long time. And, chefs and people that are in the know with food are going back to some of the recipes that have been used. There's very plain recipes, broccoli rabe with garlic and olive oil, et cetera. Or
It's my go-to.
just plain things that taste so delicious that you wouldn't want to change any of that. I think my whole life, and my mom was wonderful at cooking and making all sorts of great foods and vegetables. You never wanted to change those things.
100%. I will say some people are throwing in their emails, so if you guys want to get on that, the problem is I'll just let them know Rumble doesn't give us the ability to see your emails, right? They only show us your username. So if you guys want to be in the mailing list, just you could drop your email in the chat if you're comfortable. If not, you could email us.
Sure. Or you could contact the office and leave your email with one of the staff. Or you could go to the website, drcalapai.com, send us a nice note, put your email in. You want to be part of the newsletter, etc. You can subscribe to the to YouTube, to Instagram and Facebook, etc. Because we're going to put information out in all of these different places. We're in the process of making this, a very well-connected mechanism so people can gather a lot of information.
And on the note with the food, someone says, are there any foods unfairly demonized right now that you think deserve a second look? Because when I was a kid, they didn't want us to touch salt or real sugar. They were pushing stevia on us. I'm just curious if anything.
It's a good point. Well, I mentioned a little while ago about eggs. That, egg was the enemy because they thought it caused cholesterol and plaque and heart disease. It does not. It never did. So eggs are fine. But you want to have organic eggs. And if you can't have regular eggs because you're allergic or something, then go to duck eggs. I told at least half a dozen patients today to go out to Molosky Poultry Farms in, I guess it's Brookhaven. You go out to exit 60-something, go up Route 347, make a route on 25 past East Wind Spa, and there's this little building, and they've got amazing duck eggs and all sorts of organic and healthy free-range things. So I think that's better than having the regular stuff in the market. Table salt has always been a bit of an issue. Do people do better with the more natural sources of salt or, the sea salt? Probably, maybe more natural. Fats have been the enemy forever, and I think that's unfortunate. It's not true because fats are good for you, and you need good fats for hormone production. So avocado and the oils and the olive oil and fish oil, there are a lot of good fats you need to have in your diet. You need some of that. I'm not saying you need to have tons of these things, but part of what I do is when we look at your blood work is put together recommendations for certain combinations or amounts of proteins, keeping the carbs down, fats and oils, and we create that for you based upon your blood test. Then we could recheck and prove that what we've recommended, has worked well. So, think of it. We've been told that, eat all the grains, 4 basic food groups. And what has it done to the westernized diet and Western population? Made them fat, diabetic, increased the risk of cancer, and all sorts of bad stuff. And look at European and further east individuals that don't have all that crap, that don't eat the junk food, that have good protein sources. and have their own gardens or have their own goats and goat milk and whatever, etc., they're super, super, super healthy. That's what we need to get back to.
Someone just said, why do you think it took so long for them to realize that the entire food pyramid was upside down on its ASS?
So the people who created the pyramid and the people who are recommending what to eat over many years, they didn't find that. They don't care. They want to do what they're doing. They want status quo. I think to some extent that feeds the medical mechanism. It feeds the hospitals and feeds the whole process. I think then when a few smart people looked at it, and McCullough and a lot of the other people, Oz and certainly RFK Jr. said, hey, you don't want to have that much carbohydrate because it's sugar, and sugar is too hard for your body to deal with. And too much sugar will make your triglycerides go up, your cholesterol go up, you'll gain weight, make you fat, blah, blah, blah. And maybe 40 years of evidence with the low-carb diet doing well to burn down cholesterol, triglycerides, fat, weight, help diabetics, has shown us that you want to have the small amounts of carbohydrate and sugars, very small. And you want to have good protein sources, and the biggest part of the diet should be lots of great vegetables, seeds, and nuts, as we've been saying. So it was a bold but a smart thing to do. People don't like change, and when something's been there forever and they just keep reiterating it until you're like a zombie and you believe it, when you see something that's completely opposite and you start to read about it, you're amazed that, we were led to believe the wrong thing all these years.
Indoctrination, we call it.
Yep.
Mary in the chat said, I'm sharing all of your information and this show on Facebook and to specific friends. What email address for the office should I?
The office, you could email ccmedical503 at yahoo.com.
503, right.
Or go to the website, drcalapai.com. That's where most people send us lovely messages. But ccmedical503 at yahoo.com. That goes right to our front desk.
And then we got, what are the specific levels of vitamin D and magnesium to look for? Not the new lower levels. I'm getting my lab results next week and want to know what I should really be looking for.
Great question. This is kind of one of my favorite questions. So, and it really is. So when people get a blood test back and they look at their vitamin D and the levels, the range expected is 30 to 100. Where would you rather be, at the low end? No. Some people don't take any vitamin D. Their levels come back in the teens or 9 or 5. So that's really bad because you need vitamin D for many things, to protect your bones, to have good immune response, anti-cancer effect. The list goes on and on and on. So what I've found, based upon looking at a ton of research on vitamin D, and if you go on Google Scholar, you might find 3 to 5 million studies on vitamin D. It's super heavily researched worldwide. And a lot of the great research is outside this country, sorry to say, except for Johns Hopkins and some of the really good facilities. You want your vitamin D levels to be 85 or so, because that's where you get all the combined benefits of vitamin D. So if you're at 30, 40, 50, not great. If you're lower than that, it's bad. But I think the best results occur when you're at the 85 range. And then a big study done a couple of years ago on vitamin D against cancer, when they started seeing that good levels of vitamin D decrease the risk of breast cancer and low levels increase the risk of cancers, plural. The study started in Italy, and when the results started coming out, every research facility around wanted to be in on the vitamin D research. And it went to a meta-analysis, multiple studies all over the world. And they said that if your vitamin D levels are between 85 and 125, your risk of cancer decreased by 77%, which is pretty amazing.
What?
So for D, you certainly want to be in the upper end of normal range. For other vitamins, for magnesium, the range is tighter and should be between 2 and 4. But I don't just look at regular magnesium level. We look at red blood cell magnesium, because you might have enough to fill your regular serum magnesium levels, but you would need more to fill up your red blood cells. So that's the more important test that doctors really never do. but we do all the time.
This is, we spoke about this a little while ago, but is there any connection between gut health and anxiety and depression?
Absolutely. So if your gut is not absorbing your vitamins, minerals, and hormones and not absorbing good fats, then, your hormones are not going to be created in the manner that they should be because you need fats for hormone production. If your vitamins and minerals are low, your brain's not getting the food that it needs, so that could affect anxiety, irritability, panic phenomenon. I was just talking to a patient today, and it's a great discussion. Person is undergoing a variety of different treatments for things and also was given TPN, where they give you your food through the vein, through a big catheter into your vein. And the person was on this high sugar protein combination for 6 weeks and then just started feeling horrible, anxious all the time. Even when it was done, anxious, not sleeping well. I'm like, that's really weird because the TPN is not really damaging or hurting your brain or any of your organs. But then I said, oh my God, that stuff's got to be filled with sugar. And I said, well, what else are you eating? Well, I have bread, rice, pasta, oatmeal, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, rice and grains and such. I said, doing that intravenous feeding gave you so much sugar, you started releasing so much insulin because you got scared because the sugars are so high, you're dropping your blood sugar. And when the TPN stopped, you're still making some of that extra insulin, so your sugars are low all the time. I said, do you feel better when you don't eat? Or do you feel bad after? I feel bad after I eat. And what we eating? Oh, a sandwich or pasta. I said, you've got to stop the carbs, go 30 grams or below, and then every 3 hours have a snack, but it can't be a carb snack because then you're asking for more insulin. Over the course of a couple of weeks, your insulin will back down because the sugar's not there, and your blood sugar will regulate, and the hypoglycemic episodes aren't going to happen. And just to be super thorough, I gave him a prescription for the Freestyle Libre device that you put on your arm, and it tracks your sugar 24/7 for 2 weeks because I wanted to see how low the sugar was going and when the insulin production was going to back down to see that the sugar wasn't going low and everything was evening out. So, pretty interesting.
That's a lot of sugar.
Yeah. You'd be surprised.
What else we got here? Oh, this is a fun one. Doctor, what is your opinion on cold plunges and sauna therapy? I'm sick of seeing every Instagram person doing a cold plunge. I see it a lot.
Fads are fads, and I see people and they say, oh, I'm going to start doing the cold plunge. I'm like, why? There's no evidence that doing that is going to change your body's chemistry or change your symptoms or your problems. You might temporarily feel less of a symptom because you're cold. Same thing with the people going into cryotherapy. There are some people who shouldn't do that because it may affect their blood vessels and affect their heart. Infrared saunas I like. I have one, and I think they make you feel good. I think they're good for your immune response, good for blood flow. So I like that. But it's not sitting in a device where you're sweating and you can't breathe and you're dying. You're sitting in a nice little, controlled box, and now they sell these things that you can just bring to your home and you put them together yourself because it's all set up for you like prefab, and it's nice. You sit in there, you feel calm, you relax a little bit. Sometimes you get so calm you fall asleep, but that's fine. It's got a timer on it, and I think that's good for you. But the cold, I
mean, listen, if it helps you wake up, that's quite the alarm clock. All right.
Yeah. My body doesn't want to be that cold anymore. When I was younger, I used to ski, used to do everything in the cold and hike. And now it's like, just bring me somewhere warm and toasty.
Someone said that the cryo increases their dopamine and it makes me feel great.
Did they measure that? How do they know it increases their dopamine? People will say that. I said, so did you do a blood test to see that your dopamine levels were increased from doing X amount of cryo, and how long were they increased? So we have to look at specific studies to see that those things that some of the manufacturers are describing are factual. Just like those foot pads, the foot baths, detoxifying your body. What does that really mean? What's detox? What are you pulling out? There's no way to test what's in your body first, then you put your feet in the bath and then test to see what's in the bath. They don't do that. So a lot of that is really theoretical. You know, if it helped the dopamine, then wouldn't Parkinson's patients be racing to do the therapy and feeling wonderful from it?
You got them laughing. They're like, no.
Look, I love the audience. I love to joke around. I love to make people laugh. It's part of what I do. But yeah, I've had people that have just said the craziest things to me, and I just try to contain myself as opposed to laughing out loud.
They said it does make me feel good, though.
No,
my brother
yeah.
will say the same. Something about it.
Yeah, it might very well. So I'm not saying you can't do it. It's just if you have any issues with your coronaries, that I wouldn't dare do it. You don't want to have all your blood vessels constrict.
Is the internet making people overly afraid of normal foods at this point?
The internet is making people overly afraid of everything. And people are becoming neurotic because they believe that everything that's on the internet is factual. Remember that a lot of the internet stuff, like the news, which I don't watch anymore, haven't in years, and the tabloid press in those wacky magazines, which in some cases I've found out that the story was true, but they get people to watch them, follow them, and you're increasing a person's persona and their footprint on the social media because they're doing all this wildly, unbelievable stories and comments. So a lot of that is just creating a bigger following for a person who's going to grandstand or, be tabloid. You have to be careful of that.
I almost wonder if it's all putting on my hat here, my tinfoil hat. I love Elon, or I'd like him usually, depending on what he's doing. But for the most part, what he did with X and, or Twitter at the time, which was completely a joke and a liberal hellscape.
Yeah.
But now I try not, I can't even go on X anymore because I feel like everything I swipe is like, it makes me so angry. It'll be a cop that's doing his job and someone's nagging them. And it's like, I'm like, is the news just so brutal that I can't handle it? Or is this purposely coming to me?
It's tabloid made to make you constantly want to go to that all day and all night to see the next crazy thing. Just like it could be, looking at beautiful women, or they'll show like a half-naked woman, and men would gravitate to looking at these beautiful women. It's not as though they need to do that all day and all night, but people get addicted to swiping and looking and finding that tabloid page and seeing this or that. And, so you just have to weed through it. You have to understand that a lot of that is going to be either AI or created just to create followers for some people.
Yeah. What do you feed your dogs, Doctor?
I feed them some of the best food that I could find. There's a company called Merrick, and they have this backwoods food that's super healthy. I had it all compared to all the other dog foods. It's expensive, though. It's like $85 for a bag that's, 20 pounds. And then I'll either go get the organic chicken at Moolah. I'll make the chicken or turkey or whatever they have, and I'll feed them that. So it's a mixture between dog food and some of the good, healthy human food. And sometimes I'll get organic peas and carrots, and I'll make that. I'll put that with the chicken and put it in their bowl. Some of the dogs are not meant to have too much human food, so you have to be careful.
Is it MERICS? Merrick?
Merrick, MERRICK or IK.
Okay.
Outback. It's got little particles of the animals in it, like chunks.
Oh.
But they love
it. Does sourdough or fermentation really make foods easier on the gut, or is it not worth the carbs?
A lot of people like the sourdough bread because they don't get the stomach irritation from it. So if you're going to have bread, you're dying to have some bread. I'm not saying you can never have bread, but sourdough bread, people seem to do very well with it. So I think it makes sense. And Once again, Moolah Farms makes amazing homemade sourdough bread. So, yeah, I think it's good. I'm not saying you have to be so rigid and strict that you can't exist. But if you keep your carbs down, your body does better. If you have good, healthy vegetables and proteins, etc., your body will do better. I've seen it, every day for 40 years.
A friend of mine makes their own sourdough, and he gave me a jalapeno cheddar loaf.
Oh, wow.
And I'll just say that it wasn't like maybe it's good on the gut, but when I eat half of the loaf in a sitting because it's so good, it's kind of benefits out the window.
And the jalapeno will start making everything move along.
Let me see if I'm missing anything. There's certain people who should actually avoid high phytic acid foods.
Yeah, it depends on the individual. Just like people may have to avoid oxalates and spinach and some of the vegetables. So, yeah. You have to make, and that's why my entire crusade is to make the diet recommendations and nutrient specific to every person based upon what their blood work shows. Ultimately, the more specific, the better.
Best cheese. I like these questions. Just rapid fire. Best cheese. By the way, I did hear that alpha-gal. I guess it's alpha-gal is like the ingredient that's in red meat, and it's also in cheese. So you could have a dairy allergy while you can't eat meat, and that I would probably jump off a bridge.
That'd be horrible. That would be horrible. The best cheese, it depends upon what you like. I'm trying to think, some people like the French cheeses, some like the Italian cheese, some like the brie. As long as you get something that's either as healthy as possible, that's as organic as possible, then I think that can make sense.
I'll say this. Don't get your cheese grated already. If there's grated cheese in a Tupperware in the grocery store, don't get it. Because they spray stuff on it so it doesn't stick together and it's all separated.
There was a whole comment on that, a study on that. And it goes beyond that, and there are chemicals in it. So, and then I started seeing something that was talking about Pfizer is starting to control a lot of cheese production.
Oh, come on. Stay away from my Parmesan.
Exactly. I like Parmesan. The real Reggio Parmesan, that's good.
Yeah.
Because the flavor's good.
Oh.
And then Asiago is another favorite. It's a little moist, but very good.
Is there really a connection between stress and getting physically sick more often? I always wondered if that was a myth.
Stress can modify different systems in your body. It can affect your heart rate, can affect your absorption, affect your gut, your brain neurotransmitters. So stress is a bad thing. And I was just talking to a young lady today, because of seeing people that are stressed out for all these years, I tell them to sit back, and when you're getting stressed out, close your eyes, imagine you're at your favorite place in the world. For me, it would be the beach somewhere. And, just imagine you're sitting there at the beach, the waves are coming in and coming out, and it's beautiful, and the smell, and smell flowers, roses, whatever. Have a 5 or 10 minute break to just think of all the most beautiful things that you could think of, and you're just shutting down that stress mechanism. And it works. Some people do it every day. Some people do it multiple times a day, but it's a great idea. It just gets you out of that anxiety and irritability phase, and you're just walking right into something that makes you feel happy and comfortable. If you've got 10 or 20 things that are making you stressed or aggravated, you have to block that rather than to allow it to continue to happen.
Is inflammation actually measurable in a meaningful way, or has it become like a buzzword?
It is a buzzword, but you can measure inflammation in a joint. You could measure C-reactive protein. You could measure different parameters of inflammation. LDH. I mean, there are blood tests to do for inflammatory markers. There are autoimmune markers, like for rheumatoid that correlate with inflammation. So, yeah. There are things you could look at, but it is a buzzword. And I tell people, they say, a woman came in, I have inflammation. I said, well, where? All over. I said, well, show me where or how, and describe it for me. So I said, I need to understand that you have inflammation based on this or that, or inflammation in your gut, or inflammation in the joints. See, my leg is swollen, or it's red, or like, gout on your toe. So it needs to be defined. You can't just say inflammation with nothing behind that. There could be inflammation in your blood vessels. It could be anywhere, all over the place. So the idea is that we have to define it, then look at your testing to see what's causing it. You could have inflammation in your gut based upon food allergy. And if you find that, take the food out, then it's gone. But it's a good, easy term for people to use to go to the doctor and say, I have inflammation. If the doctor's good, he'll be able to break it down and see the cause. Just like arthritis, it could be many things.
We've definitely mentioned this in previous episodes, but is there any truth to people saying modern food has fewer nutrients than it used to?
There has been evidence over time where they looked at farms that were growing foods over and over and over again in the same soil, and, you deplete the soil. How much can you suck up, nutrients from the soil without having to replenish them? So I think that's been done where they replenish the soil, but part of me worries that are they replenishing it with the most natural means, or are they just putting chemicals in and, trying to fake it? So, yeah, you're depleting when you grow a lot of stuff in the same soil. And that's why even local farmers keep changing the crop in that area so that, once they rototill and put nutrients back in, composting was done probably since the beginning of time, where you would take components of your food, eggshells or bones from chicken or whatever else, either grind them up, chop them up, and put them back in the ground so when you plant your vegetables, they'll grow better. So, yeah, I think there's some foods that are more devoid of nutrients now because it's a chemical world. You grow your own tomatoes, they taste phenomenal. You get a tomato at a market or a restaurant, you're like, oh, this is a orangey red thing, but there's no flavor to it.
Yeah. I remember as a child going to Italy for the first time and trying a tomato.
Yeah.
And I was like a kid. I didn't love tomato. I'd have one, but it wasn't. And I was like, this is like a fruit. This is the most delectable thing I've ever put in my mouth.
Yeah. I remember going to Italy and, France, and you're just getting, even Spain, eggs are just delicious there. Everything there is just tasting better because it's all pure and natural. There's a great show, Stanley Tucci, when he was doing his first show, Searching for Italy, and now he does another show, and I love it.
It's still Searching for Italy. He just added a new season.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So I love it. And he went to Naples to meet with the head of the Neapolitan Pizza Organization, which apparently is a worldwide, somewhat famous organization. And the guy just threw together a pizza, and it was 00, perfect Italian grain, no GMO. Tomatoes were San Marzano tomatoes, which are typically the greatest ever. And Stanley bites into the pizza, and he's like freaking out because, you don't get that over here.
Mm-hmm.
But when he asked the gentleman in Italian, why is this the greatest pizza I've ever had? He goes, andiamo, come with me. So they drive to this massive tomato farm, which is, I think, had armed guards and whatever else. It's just a big, beautiful place. And all these San Marzano tomato plants are there, and they're the beautiful oval tomatoes. And they took one off the vine, and he ate it, and Stanley's losing his mind. He goes, I don't understand. Why is this the most delicious tomato I've ever had? And the guy points to the volcano.
Oh, yeah.
All the ash, and historically, anywhere around volcanic activity, all that ash makes the soil so fertile and have all sorts of nutrients, and the plants grow like crazy. And that's why the pizza and the tomatoes were that good, because it's just a perfect tomato. What you get here, unless you're growing them yourself, is different. When I was a kid, a neighbor a couple of blocks down, Anthony, his father, was a fisherman from Sicily. He didn't really speak any English. He couldn't understand what he was saying. He talked kind of like Godfather, like Marlon Brando. But he was a great guy, and he would use bone meal and fish meal and every eggshell and every bone from chicken or whatever leftovers, and he'd put it, rototill it. He had tomatoes that were massive, like gigantic, like heirloom type tomatoes, but they were so delicious because of how he did it. Of course, the seeds were all from Italy. He brought them over. So depends on how you want to do it.
You're familiar with the tomato brand Cento?
Yeah.
So, last month, May 2026, a $25 million suit claiming that Cento falsely markets and labels its cans as certified San Marzano, which in fact they are not.
Oh, my God.
They are committing tomato fraud.
There's nothing worse than
allegedly,
tomato fraud.
Allegedly.
If that's true, there's nothing worse than tomato fraud.
Oh.
This must stop. We must put an end to this.
It must be a death penalty.
It won't do, I tell you. That's a little inside joke. But, yeah. Wow. You can't trust anybody these days.
Crazy.
That's why I go out and make my own garden. I have 5 fig trees. I just bought 3 or 4 different types of tomatoes. Eggplant. I love eggplant. I have beans and cucumbers and all sorts of things. I'm growing corn again this year. You know, a lot of arugula, rosemary, lavender, whatever I can put in this space, I put in. It's terrific.
Is it too, there's a genuine question from producer Frankie. Is New York capable of growing your own olive trees, or does it have to be in a greenhouse?
I don't know. I think it's got to be super hot.
Yeah.
And there are certain, like up here is a zone 7, which for certain trees and plants is fine. But
would you say zone 7?
Yeah, we're zone 7.
What does that mean?
It's the temperatures, the humidity,
okay.
It's all of the, in the south, it's a different zone, and that's why you can get bougainvillea plants to grow 15 feet high with gorgeous flowers that are purple and burgundy, and
Got it.
here they don't last.
Right.
And also because of the winter. But, yeah, you could have your own garden and have a lot of great stuff. When I first moved to my house, I kind of cut away into the woods area, and I didn't have big trees like I have now because they grew like crazy. And I had a 50 by 60 foot garden. And my neighbor Leo and I, rest his soul, we went to Hicks and got all sorts of organic tomatoes and peppers and seasoning and spices and you name it, rosemary and garlic and onion and squash and pumpkin. I didn't realize like 300 plants because the little containers got either 6 or 9 plants in it. So I was taking trays and putting them on and filled up the back of my car. It took like 3 days to plant everything. But I had so much stuff growing in it. And all my aunts and uncles and everybody was still alive back then, 97, 98, 99, 2000. I'd have to go down with either a bushel or the big canvas bag you carry, logs into your fireplace.
Uh-huh.
And I would put tons of vegetables from the garden, pick it, dump it in the sink. My aunts would clean it, and we'd have just amazing amounts of food. Now it's much smaller, but it's still good quality stuff.
Listen, chat saying this is the best show ever. Listen, we'll talk about.
Thank you.
We may make this into a garden show. We may need a spinoff.
You never know. It's a variety show. May have to do a little song and dance. We'll have to bring the dogs on. I've told Anthony I want to go out to his vineyard and do a show from the vineyard, drinking the wine and stuff. So that would be fun.
Oh yeah, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'd like to do a lot of different things. Well, we're going to have the ability to do a lot of that because this whole project is going to work extremely well to allow us to do some more things.
Let's see if I'm missing anything. I'm not leaving my YouTube audience out.
So if you can, please like and subscribe wherever you can do that. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. We want to be able to reach a lot of people.
Yeah. We're saying Vineyard would be a great place to do the show.
Absolutely.
He's going to be Stanley Calapai, all right?
Follow Stanley Tucci Calapai. Hey, look, honestly, what better job is that than that? Travel over Italy and eat. I mean, please.
Oh, yeah. And
medicine's good. And being a doctor is a good thing in many, many ways. But to be able to travel throughout all of Italy and eat wonderful foods and ancient recipes, please.
And Stanley Tucci, for all the good, he's such a lib. I was watching that, the Italy show, and he did it during COVID or right before COVID, and then he stopped and he just put out a new season. But that season, he was going around and talking about like, oh, you like this guy who doesn't want immigration, and he's talking to the townspeople saying, why do you support this radical right guy? They're like, get out of my town, pal.
Hopefully he's changed.
Yeah. I was like, what are we doing? I love you. You're doing great. Now I hate you.
Don't get political. People don't, the actors and actresses don't realize we don't care to hear you talk about your political views. We don't want to hear your opinion on stuff. Just do what you do, entertain, and that's it.
Yeah.
We don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Look at what's happened to some of these entertainers over the years that made political comments.
And then no one.
One of the ones I remember is the Dixie Chicks back in the day. They made fun of George Bush or something, and
I remember that.
they were gone. And the lead singer just emerged. And, there were attractive women back in the day, but she's just, out of her mind, and who knows. But don't be political, people. Just do your thing.
Yeah, it's not your job. It's not your job.
Do your thing and shut up.
If you want to show me how to act, sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Do your thing and shut up.
We got some Zone beers in the Zone 5 beers in the chat, by the way.
Zone 5 beers.
They said Zone 5B. They said it's a great for me to plant in Zone 5B.
Yeah, probably.
Now I got to look up these zones. I'm learning, guys. I'm learning.
Well, yeah. Historically, halfway down to the south, Virginia is a massive tomato state. Florida, all these places. Hawaii has a lot of great things, including the sumo citrus, those gigantic oranges that are unbelievably delicious. So, and then again, yeah, you could put up a hothouse or a greenhouse and grow anything, really. I was toying around with the idea of that. Because my friend has one, and they grow some gorgeous stuff. It's like, wow.
What state?
New York.
Oh, greenhouse, right. One day.
Speaking of traveling to Italy, let me just add my latest adventure. So my friends, Tom and Adriana, who you know well, are having their 30th wedding anniversary in next month in Italy. And I think they've rented a villa in Tuscany in an area called Forte de Marmi, which is a beautiful, elegant town near the beach. It's sort of one of those gorgeous hidden places that nobody really knows well enough so that it would be touristy or crowded. They've been there before, and they travel like crazy. They travel a lot. And they invited me to go. A few friends they invited because they have a big family between their family and then Adriana's brother's family, so it'll be a great group of people. But I hadn't gone to Italy in a while, and I've always wanted to go to Sicily, so I'm going to fly to Sicily first from JFK to Catania, and then drive to Taormina, stay in Taormina on the beach, and then drive to Messina and see if I could find any living relatives on my dad's side, and I probably have to do a little research on that first. Then drive around Sicily and see what's what. My grandmother was from Sciacca, it's lower west coast, and just take the little day trip, stay there for 3 or 4 days, and then I'm going to fly to Pisa, not to go to Pisa, but because the flight to Pisa is close to Forte de Marmi. It's like a 20-minute ride, and rent another car and rent a little convertible or something. The flight from Catania to Pisa, guess how much it is? $69.
Stop it.
I swear to God. I was blown away. And then the flight from Pisa to Rome is like $79. Of course, Rome flying back. And I have a friend who works in Rome, who works with the Vatican, so I want to be able to get the cool tours and see all the bones of different people,
That's going to be awesome.
Get pictures.
That's going to be insane.
Also in Sicily, there's a place that you could go. It's like catacombs.
Oh, yeah.
But the people are hanging on the wall.
Oh,
There are dead people on the wall, all dressed up. But they're dead people hanging on the wall. I've seen that on TV. It's like the wildest thing. So I want to get pictures with dead people hanging on the wall. I love pictures. And all the pictures I've taken on my trips I put in my office. But I definitely want to get some DPP, dead people pictures.
The chat said, "Can we go with you, Dr. Chris?"
Yeah.
And someone said,
Well, you know what? I'll videotape it. I'll do my best to show. I'll videotape everything, by the way.
Listen, I may be able to get you on a live stream, all right?
You can do that?
There's a chance.
Really?
There's a chance.
I would do that. And now we're going down underground to visit
Well, you may lose the signal underground. But.
Oh. And now we're going to bring the dead people up and walk around town with them.
Someone's asking actual dead people. So
yeah,
I'll give you. I went to
look it up online.
Yeah.
Sicily. It's not necropolis. It's the catacombs with dead people hanging on the wall. Look on the computer. Maybe you can pop it up on the screen.
Oh, I know what it looks like. I've seen pics.
Yeah, they're like hanging on the wall like this.
I went to the one I was a child going to Rome, and we went, and I was like, this isn't a
love
place for a
history,
child to go. I was terrified.
I love history like nothing else. The older the stuff you can show me, the more I love it.
Oh, that's wild. They're literally in tuxedos and stuff.
Let's see.
Hold on. I don't know. This might scare some viewers. Hold on. Give me one moment.
There it is.
Hold on. Oh.
Yeah, I want to go deep into the Vatican and see things that nobody have seen before, but my friend should be able to do that. I'd love to meet with the Pope. I just got to figure out if that could be done.
All right.
Papa Americano.
Dun, 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 dun. All right. Here we go.
Yep. Dead people hanging on the wall. And that's, you can see he's Italian. His head is tilted. He's dressed nicely. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You know, people go to see mummies, you know.
But like religiously, that was like the thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, you could see saints there.
Yeah.
And
I've got to get the books to see all the different things that I want to see. And then, of course, in Forte dei Marmi, that's where Bocelli lives. So
you could hear him
sing. May have to do some duets.
You just got to listen.
I know they're going to ask. I know they're going to say, "Oh, dottore." They want me to sing.
So the doctor will need a big suitcase to fit a few of us.
My tuxedo with the tails.
Said I wonder if we'll pass through customs. Listen, you may pass through it, but I don't think you want to go through that X-ray machine.
True.
Might come out with a tail.
All righty.
This is a fun one, huh?
It's a good show. Well, we needed a good show to come back and
I couldn't agree more.
Have some fun. We would love for you to give us a call or text us, email us through the website, drcalapai.com. Phone number is 516-794-0404. A lot of great stuff is happening. Longevity Health Services will be our big umbrella. We'll talk about that, the blood testing, where AI can review that, etc. A lot of cool things happening. And we'll keep you abreast every week.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you had fun. If you have any ideas or questions or things you want me to talk about, just email me at the website or send us some info. Have a wonderful weekend.